This is me moments before attempting my max rep after squatting every single day for an entire month. But before I tell you how I wound up in a leopard print robe and heart patterned underwear, I want to answer some of the questions I set out with at the beginning of this ridiculous challenge. I talked with strength and conditioning coaches, personal trainers, a physical therapist, and a nutritionist to figure out what kind of people would do something like this. Should people be squatting every day? Is it possible to do something like this without getting hurt? What, if anything, should you change about your diet to survive a challenge like this? And can you really add 50 to 60 pounds to your squat max in 30 days? I also learned some things you definitely should not do if you're attempting to squat every day for a month.
So SQUATOBER was invented by a strength coach a couple years ago, where all of the big D1 programs, football programs, in October did this everyday squat program, literally from the start of October all the way to the end. And then you basically do a PR at the end of October to see what happens. I think they wanted to kind of challenge the idea of squatting every day, because I know in our industry, sometimes people say you can't squat every day, it's going to hurt your knees or whatever the case may be.
You hear SQUATOBER, you hear squat every day, and it's like 5x5 as heavy as you can all the time. But that's not how it actually is. So explain how the program is actually structured.
They kind of mix multiple different types of programs within a program, which is kind of fun. They do a lot of eccentrics, a lot of periodization. You literally are squatting basically every day, some capacity, whether that's 40% of your 1 rep max or 80% on certain days. They do a lot of accessory lifts included in there. They do throw a lot of upper body.
But that in no way means that SQUATOBER is easy.
You know, these challenges, sometimes I go, why the hell would anybody want to do that?
If you're going to go all out for a beginner, it's probably not going to end up good for you.
That much consistent work of the same movement, you'll inevitably break down a little bit. You're going to get sore and you're not going to be able to recover. It's eventually going to burn your CNS out.
The first week is nearing a close. I've just been doing the same thing every day, really. I wake up, go to work, go to the gym, eat, go to sleep, do it again the next day. The cooking, the eating, the sleep, everything else that's going to let me do this productively and successfully. I've got a pretty good base foundation, and the big change really is just gonna be driving to the gym every day instead of 2 or 3 times a week now. I feel way stronger already, even after week 1.
It was pretty cool how fast you adapt, but it felt almost better to move. And that's why, I always preach about movement as medicine. The body can go through something every day for a long period of time and it will adapt. And that's the beauty of it. That's the whole point of what weightlifting is.
I feel like my max has got to be 20 pounds more already just after the first week. And then there would be that feeling of I'd be sore all day, but then I'd get to the gym and like do the first set and it's like, oh, here, I'm back. You're just kind of ready to do it by the time you're doing it again.
Yeah, your nervous system, it adapts really well. If anything, it shows people like what we do for a living and how good consistency and good quality can really show some really good results.
So for this part of the video, I figured I could just give a few examples of SQUATOBER workouts. We can go through them together here. So this one, pretty typical, kind of like what you would expect. It's back squat, it's front squat, 4 sets of 5 at 65% for the back squat. 3 sets of 5, 40 to 45% for the front squat. They've got a little warm up in there. And then cardio, they have this part called cardio in all of them that is literally just like the other lifts, like arms, and it's got chin-ups here. Chin-ups is cardio now. Okay, so pretty cool. This next one, kettlebell swing, warm-ups, kettlebell RDLs to warm up, goblet squats, kind of changing it up. It's slow tempo, so 5 sets of 5 at 60%, and it gives you some detailed instructions. 5-second tempo on the way down, normal tempo on the way back up, and then you go some deadlifts, 10 sets of 3 at 70%. And of course we have our cardio next, the farmer's walk, total cardio. This next one, you see him go to the heavier side of things, doubles at 85%. For a 10-minute timer, and just do as many sets of 2 reps as possible. And that one was a pretty fun one. And then you would just finish it off with bench press, 5 sets of 5. Can't forget your cardio of bicep curls and tricep pushdowns. This next one was a pause set workout, 5 sets of 3 at 60% with 2-second pause, followed by deadlifts, followed by chin-ups, followed by bicep curls, and cardio. For our cardio, we have shrugs. This next one is a good example of how detailed they will get with the sets and reps and percentages for you, which is nice. The percentages go 60, 65, 70, 75, 80. and then the reps are 10, 10, 8, 6, 4. This one really shows how personalized and detailed, and like there is a trainer making your workouts every day, the whole program really is. And that's something in my fitness nowadays as I get older that I like. When I was younger and I had more spare time, I would get super into the details and really like, you know, crafting all the sets and reps and percentages and stuff for my own workouts. But now that I have so much other stuff going on in my life, I just really enjoy it when something is just prescribed to me. Someone just tells me what to do, you know, following a guided workout or a yoga class or something. When someone's just telling you everything to do and all you got to do is do it, show up, don't spend any mental energy on what should I be doing. It's like really good. Quick note on my shoes. I've been lifting in the knees over toes guy uncivilized sneaker V1. I made a review about it. It kind of ripped, it broke down, and they were nice enough to send me a revised edition of the V1 shoe. And they're also sending me the V2, which is more like a basketball shoe. So stay tuned for that video. I'll be reviewing that as well. This shoe I like because it's flat. It's kind of like a basketball shoe on the bottom as far as traction and feel to the ground, and then it's almost like a sock on the top. You kind of strap it over. It's a wide toe box. My feet don't feel scrunched up in it or anything. It feels one-to-one. Like the energy I'm putting into my foot goes right into the ground. I'm not like wobbling on the cushion of a running shoe. Like I would never lift in a running shoe, you know? Or a basketball shoe really even too. And this shoe is a little bit thinner than a basketball shoe. It's almost a barefoot shoe. There's barely any cushion, and it gives you a really good feel of the ground and how your feet and your body are directly affecting the weight. And that is what I like in a training shoe. But the right lifting shoes weren't all I needed to stay dialed in on this SQUATOBER journey. What would you say are the most important things nutrition-wise for such a high volume program?
You really do need to figure out how you are fueling before, during, and after your workout appropriately. Let's just say, for example, you eat 200 grams of carbs on a regular daily basis. If you are kind of doubling or tripling your high volume for SQUATOBER, then you probably need to increase by, maybe 50 to 100 grams of carbs a day. And it's going to depend. It might be a little bit of trial and error. So you might have to really track what you're doing maybe for a week or so before SQUATOBER hits so that you can figure out how you want to adjust things. And you'll find out real fast if you start going through your workout and you don't have any energy. If you don't usually have an intra-workout fueling source, you may have to start incorporating that in. I mean, in my bodybuilding days, I have been known to eat peanut butter M&Ms mid-workout as an intra-workout snack. So you got to do what you got to do to kind of keep that energy flowing along.
I know that protein specifically needs to be adjusted. Like if you're in a deficit, would you want to focus more specifically on that? Or do you think like carbs are the main thing you need to focus on because it's just all the energy?
Yeah, I think in terms of the energy, you're going to have to appropriately increase your carbohydrates, but not just throughout the day. Like I would make it very specific to before, during, and after your workout so that you're really optimizing the performance there. I would absolutely not recommend taking this out of context and eating a bunch of sugar and candy because I told you to up your carbs. That's not going to help. You're going to feel awful afterwards. Don't do that.
So to sum up Danny's recommendations on nutrition during SQUATOBER, definitely focus on increasing your protein because of all the extra work and damage to your muscles that's going to be happening, as well as focusing on increasing carbs to fuel those long workouts. So this can be done a couple ways depending on your lifestyle. Maybe it's as simple as adding one extra meal to fuel that workout, but for some people it might be easier to take the approach of adding 100 to 200 calories to all the meals that you're eating already if it's not logistically feasible for you to just add an entire extra meal. What ended up working for me though was I just started making one extra breakfast sandwich with eggs and bacon and cheese on a bagel. I would just do that while I was making my regular morning smoothie, and that was like 400 or 500 extra calories and some extra protein that ended up being enough to give my nutrition the extra little bump during SQUATOBER.
Now, here's my main thing about squatting. No one likes to stretch. No one wants to foam roll. If you're gonna squat every freaking day in October, Jesus Christ, make sure you're getting a little more limber. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you foam roll. The camera is mounted on top of a foam roller right now. Do you see how resourceful it is? So if it's good enough for this quality camera that's giving you great footage by the gentleman that's filming it, then I would have to think the foam roller is gonna help loosen up your muscles to help you perform a better squat. If I tell you the foam roller is gonna help you perform a better squat, wouldn't you do it? So just take that advice. Loosen yourself up a little bit. For God's sake, you're doing this every day. Take care of yourself, man.
Weeks 2 and 3 kept on rolling by. I kept showing up to the gym, warming up, squatting every weekday. Another day done. Friday the 13th. Scary. I remained a moderate amount of sore basically all the time, but I continued to feel like I was getting a lot bigger and stronger the whole time, which was really, really cool. But it did not stay that way. By the 4th week, my body was feeling very heavy, very slow, never quite got warmed up or shook off the stiffness from the previous day. I kept pushing through it. Today was the first day I didn't do the whole workout. I just could barely move in there. I felt really weak. Felt like I was gonna get hurt every rep. It's hard. It's hard. How does my body feel? I'm very sore. Most of my body is very sore. The whole day, I'm like, how am I gonna squat at the end of today? I don't know, I'm not like injured, but there are some annoying, nagging things that are starting to come up. I was determined to get to the end of this month and achieve the most possible gains by Halloween. I just needed to know, how can you squat every day and not get hurt?
Well, I mean, obviously, anytime you're loading the body, there's a risk for overload or doing too much. So I think that you have to have realistic goals, right? The amount of squats that you're performing outweighs the amount of weight that you need to be doing. So it's the repetitions that are going to be key for you. You don't need a whole lot of weight. Ian tried to do the SQUATOBER challenge. I think he failed. So you have to be aware of how advanced are you in this lifting type of stuff. For a beginner, if you're going to go all out, it's probably not going to end up good for you. So you have to be aware of your limitations, your mechanics, your movement quality. Let's make sure we're getting our core engaged, getting our hips engaged. That way you have proper stability whenever you're performing these exercises. So you're not feeling it in your back per se, and you're using your legs and everything is working together to protect those things that could get injured. Please don't do weight where you just like strap the belt on as tight as you can and you wrap your knees and all this stuff. It's like, that's not what this is about. It's about really working up to a new strength goal. Or are you warming up appropriately, or are you just jumping right into this squat fest? Or are we actually take into account that, hey, we're about to really push our limits, so let's make sure everything is tuned up and ready to go, taking care of the small things so that you can actually finish what you're starting there.
We are nearing the end of SQUATOBER and Halloween is approaching. It is the final weekend of SQUATOBER. I've not been this excited for a day off the whole time. Every day this week I really had to muster up some willpower to get in there. The last lift before the PR lift, hopefully it's easy. Good news. 4 sets of 4 at 50%. Very good news. That's it. The final set before the PR party. Definitely the quickest workout of the month. With 30 days of squats behind me, the one thing left to do was show up on Halloween and max out. But I needed to harness all the manic, creative energy possible. So I suited up in the likeness of my favorite musician and celebrity lookalike and showed up to the gym.
Get the fuck out of bed, bitch, go. Get up and get the guy go up. Gotta wake up, bitch, get up.
I warmed up and started doing sets of 1, starting at 95% of my original 1 rep max weight of 285. Then I started adding 5 to 10 pounds at a time and did about 10 sets until I worked all the way up to 335, which I'm about to do right now.
So I completed SQUATOBER. It's over. It's done. It was actually a while ago. Now that I'm recording this, as you can see, I've dyed my hair. Things are a little different. I'm in a different house too. I'm glad I did it. Would I do it again? Should you do it? Definitely glad I did it. I definitely think it's something you should try. If you're looking for something different, something to switch it up, if you need to inject something new, if you've been stuck in a plateau, this will absolutely smash you through. You will get gains from doing this. I didn't do any measurements or many before after things other than the actual max, at the end, but I could tell my legs were way bigger after a month of squatting 5 days a week, how could it not? I think for me personally, a lot of fitness things kind of come into my life and are there as an intense phase for a while and then kind of just roll back into being kind of part of the arsenal of all the fitness things that I do. And SQUATOBER is no different. I think in this instance, it was a super high volume, super intense, lifting focused era, you know? Whereas I just ran my first marathon like a month ago now. SQUATOBER was a super intense, high volume thing, and I'm saying that that's kind of how I do things in life. You know, I dive into stuff and I do it super intensely, and then I figure out how it's gonna fit into my life overall. You know, I just kind of went through this era, or I'm in this era with running. You know, I started running like a year ago now, and it's part of what I do. You know, it's like my kettlebells over here is part of what I do. Lifting in the gym is part of what I do. You know, going through short periods of super high volume stuff like SQUATOBER, like marathon training, like being a member of a jiu-jitsu gym for like 3 months, you know, is kind of how I have found myself going through my fitness life. SQUATOBER is probably something I'll do again, you know, I don't know if it'll be next year or the year after that, but when I feel like it's something I need, I know what it takes and I know what it does, you know, and those are it takes a lot, but it also does a lot. And I liked a lot of what it did. You know, I got way stronger and my legs got way bigger. My chest and back I got super muscular in a very short period of time. And that was really cool, you know? And honestly, after marathon training, I maybe need something like that once again, you know? I think something important about the way that I approached it was from the first testing my max phase all the way through every workout, all the way to the maxing out at the end, you know? If I felt like I was gonna need to put on a belt or need a spotter or like be squeezing every muscle in my body till my eyes shot out of my skull, I just stopped, you know? There's no real good reason for me to be maxing out the number on my max squat. Whenever it felt like maybe this is gonna be too much, maybe I don't wanna do this, I was pretty generous with myself with, you know, backing off or not slapping on another plate to push the number higher. I mentioned this earlier in the video, but I like when stuff is prescribed to me, you know? I just show up and I know what I'm doing, whether it's like with work, with like the deliverables are clear on a project and I know what I have to sit down and do and execute, to my workouts. I know I just have to show up, do these things and not have to think about it. That is like what I am trying to I'm trying to offload as much me figuring stuff out as possible, you know? And following a program like SQUATOBER with a goal in mind and a prescription of what to do and how to get there is the type of thing that I enjoy in life, for sure. Whether it's SQUATOBER, whether it's a kettlebell program, whether it's knees over toes workouts, whether it's marathon training, that's the kind of fitness stuff that I like to follow. You know, I'm not nerding out and like programming myself stuff, you know, and I think that's where a lot of people are. Maybe you don't want to pay a personal trainer, but maybe you feel like you know a bit more than the average person, or at least know yourself and like what you're capable of and what you could get out of your workouts. And I kind of feel that pressure to like, I should figure something out for myself to optimize. But it's like, it would just be easier if I just followed something that somebody else like told me what to do, you know, whether that's paying a trainer or following a program. That's kind of my thoughts on stuff like that. Anyway, thank you for watching this video. It was super high effort. If you know me personally, you know how long I've been making this video for, and it's been a while. So thanks for watching it. I really appreciate it. Thanks for making it to the end. Check the description for Thrive hoodies, Thrive stickers. Keep striving to thrive, and I will see you next time.